This, friends, is now the second rebuttal of Bildad the Shuhite. The interesting thing is that he really hasn't anything to contribute to Job. You will recall that he is a traditionalist. Bildad speaks in verse 1. Then Bildad the Shuhite replied, "When will you end these speeches? Be sensible and then we can talk. Why are we regarded as cattle and considered stupid in your sight?" To state it very bluntly, Bildad is saying, Job, if you would just keep quiet, then only can we speak. You should quit talking and start listening. You have been doing all the talking when we have come here as your comforters, and you should be listening to what we speak. Actually, all of them, Job and his friends, should have actually kept quiet, it's true, refrained from talking and listening not to each other but to the one above. But they are not prepared for the voice of God at this time. God is preparing Job to ultimately hear his still small voice, and later Job will have to listen. Verse 4. You who tear yourself to pieces in your anger. Bildad is asking, do you think God is going to run his universe just to suit you? Bildad, you remember, is a traditionalist and he rests everything on the past. He feels that anything that was true in the past is also good enough for today. That is the method he uses. Now, verse 6. The light in his tent becomes dark. The lamp beside him goes out. The vigor of his step is weakened. His own schemes throw him down. His feet thrust him into a net, and he wanders into its mesh. Job, you have been caught in a net like a fish, Bildad says. And it is not because we have done anything. We are supposed to be here to help you out of the net, but you love to remain in the net and justify yourself. You don't listen to us. You are in that position because you have some secret sin in your personal life. You have walked into a trap. Verse 9. A trap seizes him by the heel. A snare holds him fast. A noose hidden for him on the ground. A trap lies in his path. A trap, a snare, a noose. Notice Bildad's deliberate choice of words. You have been caught like a bear in a trap because you've been fooling around with a bait. If that weren't true, you wouldn't be in such a position, Bildad says. Verse 11 now. Terrors startle him on every side, and dog his every step. Calamity is hungry for him. Disaster is ready for him when he falls. It eats away parts of his skin. Death's firstborn devours his limbs. He's torn from security of his tent, marched off to the king's terrors. Fire resides in his tent. Burning sulfur is scattered over his dwelling. His roots dry up below, and his branches wither above. The memory of him perishes from the earth. He has no name on the land. Terrors, calamity, death. He is torn from the security of his tent. Fire resides in his tent, burning sulfur in his dwelling. But friends, the most poignant, the most painful words are verse 16. Job's roots have dried up. His branches have withered up. The memory of him perishes from the earth. He's saying that some rare disease will waste away Job's body. The fire of God will destroy his habitation. His name will eventually be blotted out from the book of man. His family will perish. He will have neither son, grandson, or family. His desolation shall astonish future generations. All this is true of the wicked, but it is not at all applicable to Job. A statement can be absolutely true, yet have no application to a particular individual. Friends, the danger of generalizing a particular truth and making everyone fit that bill. Verse 18, he is driven from the light into darkness, and is banished from the world, driven from light into darkness. Is he speaking about hell? This is a figurative expression of the wicked. It really does not apply to Job. Now you notice verses 19 and 20. He has no offspring or descendants among his people, no survivor. Where once he lived, men of the West are appalled at his fate. Men of the East are seized with horror. West are appalled, East are horrified. Any man likes to have sons, daughters, children, grandchildren. They are a source of satisfaction. They are a source of joy and pride. Sometimes the wicked have more satisfaction, have more children than anyone else. Job, at this time, does not have one single child left to him. They've all been slain suddenly in a way that is so tragic. It is actually cruel for Bildad to talk about children to Job. He's actually trying to rub salt into Job's deep wounds. But later, friends, we will see that God, who is just, is going to make it up to Job. He's going to give him more children. We move now to chapter 19. Job answers Bildad. As you can see, the mistake Job is beginning to make is this. He knows that his friends are wrong, but their being wrong does not make him right. His attitude is wrong also. He has a wrong conception of God at this time, although light breaks in from time to time. Then Job replied, "How long will you torment me and crush me with words?" Job seems to be saying that their words hurt deeper than his physical wounds. Sometimes, friends, this is so true, even in our day and age. He says, "Your words are crushing me." Friends, we can use words as healing to soothe a person's wounds, or we can use words to cause those wounds and deeper wounds. Now, verse 4. If it is true that I have gone astray, my error remains my concern alone. No one knows any error in me but myself. His friends are not able to point it out, and the implication is that he isn't aware of any error himself. Someone has said that the Lord did not make us perfect, for he made us blind to our errors. Although I don't think the Lord is responsible for that. I think the statement is probably true. We are not perfect, but most of us are blind to our faults. Job is a man who is blind to many attitudinal faults that are intrinsic in him. Now verses 5 and 6. If indeed you would exalt yourselves above me and use my humiliation against me, then know that God has wronged me and drawn his net around me. If indeed you would exalt yourselves above me, use my humiliation against me. Bildad has said that Job had walked into a net, but Job maintains that God has done this and that God hasn't given Job an explanation why he has pushed him into this trap. Couldn't it be that God has done this for some reason that he has not explained it to Job as yet? Of course. But the friends are determined that there must be an explanation and that Job must give it to them when they ask for it. Now he pleads with his friends. He really pleads in verse 7. Though I cry, I've been wronged, I get no response. Though I call for help, there is no justice. He has blocked my way so I cannot pass. He has shrouded my paths in darkness. He has stripped me of my honor, removed my crown from my head. He tears me down on every side till I'm gone. He uproots my hope like a tree. His anger burns against me. He counts me among his enemies. The pain in Job's heart, friends. In these few verses, he says that God is treating him terribly and harshly, and that there must be some explanation for all this that is happening to him. The purpose of God must be different from the explanation of his friends that surround him. Job confesses he doesn't know what the purpose of God is behind all this. Verse 23. Oh, that my words were recorded. Oh, that they were written on a scroll, that they were inscribed with an iron tool on lead, or engraved in a rock forever. Notice the intensity of these words. Job wishes that his words were written and put in a book. He would be willing for his worst enemy to write them out. He would like to engraven them on a rock so he could say, "Look, this is what my enemy says about me." And he has done all this because of some reason I don't know. Verse 25. Beautiful words, friends. I know my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand upon the earth. And after my skin has been destroyed, yet in my flesh I will see God. I myself will see him with my own eyes, I and not another. How my heart yearns within me. Friends, when you're in distress, when the world crushes you, say in your heart, I know my Redeemer lives. When Job became ill and was in the shock of all his troubles, he said he wanted to die. He was not speaking of annihilation, he was speaking of death, which he would get to save him from all his troubles. I think that is obvious to all of us. He knew he would be raised again. He knew that in his flesh he would see God, the assurance of salvation. He knew that even if the worms destroyed his body after death, yet in his flesh he would see God. Job, friends, in other words, believed in the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ. Job says, I know my Redeemer lives. Notice he does not say, my Creator lives. Though Job predated the Redeemer by so many years and centuries, he says, I know my Redeemer lives. Job was a futuristic. He looks into Christ, the heart of Christ, as a Redeemer of the world, which includes Job. Friends, we are living on this side of the cross. We have seen what Jesus did for us on the cross. Can you, in all your pain, say this? I know my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand upon the earth and vindicate me, will justify me. I know my Redeemer lives. If there's any hope for anyone in the world, it is just this line, I know my Redeemer lives. Verse 28, if you say, how we will hound him, since the root of his trouble lies in him. You should fear the sword yourselves, for the wrath will bring punishment by the sword. And then you will know that there is a judgment. You should fear the sword yourselves. In spite of all their many accusations, Job kept his faith. He believes the Redeemer lives and is coming, and that he himself is numbered in that number of the redeemed. How we will hound him, if you say, since the root of his trouble lies with him. Don't take advantage of a fallen man. Jesus, when we were fallen, came to lift us up. We should do the same, friends. But look around you. When a person is fallen, we love to gossip about him. We love to hit him with our words and say he has done some sin and therefore it is justified that he is in such a situation. Friends, when a person is suffering, the best thing that we can do, if we can't put an arm and comfort him around his shoulder, friends, we can at least remain silent and pray for him. Remember, as you sow, you will reap. What goes around comes around. And therefore, you speak badly about a man in his distress. When you go through that same experience, remember, several tongues will wag. We close with that line, friends. I know my Redeemer lives. Just as light exposes dust, just as light exposes dirt, trouble exposes faith and trust. Everyone can have faith in God's sovereignty in good times. But when things go against us, when things go wrong, please don't let the faith you're standing on simply disappear. Faith is the ability to trust what we cannot see, and with faith, we are freed from the flimsy enclosures of life that only fear loves in entrapping us. Friends, fear entraps, faith frees. Faith for my deliverance is not faith in God. Faith means whether I am visibly delivered or not, I will stick to my belief that God is love. There are some things only learned in a fiery furnace. Whether faith frees or not, whether I continue to be undelivered, I will still have faith in God, because the fiery furnace teaches a lot of good lessons. The hotter the furnace, the purer the gold. God bless you, my friend.